DLSU Radio Green Giant FM. Welcome to the 4th episode of What's Up Bro podcast season 2, might I add. My name is DJ Cora.
And I'm DJ Miggy.
And of course, just as the title suggests, this is a collaboration shared with the De La Salle Brothers of the Philippines. So what would this podcast be without our special guests? Maybe we can call on them to introduce themselves rather.
Hello everyone, my name is Brother Irwin Anthony Agustin Limaco FSC. I am currently assigned at the University of St. Lasalle in Bacolod City as the Director for the Center for Marketing and Communications. Nice to meet you.
Hi everyone, my name is Brother Francisco de la Rosa VI, but people really just call me Brother Saki. I am assigned at De La Salle University Das Marinas. I'm currently the Chancellor.
Wow, so we have some very special guests with us here today. And thank you again so much for sharing with us your time. So with that, we can start asking the questions that our listeners want to know. The first one being, what are the stages to becoming a brother? And what is the most challenging stage for you and why?
Brother Irwin, you want to take that first?
All right, sige bro. Basically, first, when you are still a student, we have our contacts and aspirants. These are young men who are interested to get to know about the brothers. So we cater to them with different programs under the Vocations Ministry Office. We have several aspirants all over the Philippines. And hopefully, after their graduation in college, they would intend to enter the formal stages of formation, which might be shared by Brother Sockie.
I think so. When you kind of live a normal life as a college student, you're an aspirant, so you're just in touch with the brothers, see them once a month. But after college, the formal part of entering the brothers begins, which is the postulancy. The postulancy is a 1-year stage where you sort of begin to let go of a normal life and begin to understand what it means to be a brother or to enter religious life. So you begin to have regular times for prayer, you begin to have regular times for meals together, you begin to live with other people, with other brothers. So it's like a preparation stage, or a stage that's you're not yet a brother, you're a postulant, but you're beginning to practice what it means to be a brother. So that's 1 year, and it's always been mostly in Lasalle regions. So that's 1 year, postulancy.
Yes, to add to that, postulancy is bits and pieces of the succeeding stages. So you would get to experience what it is like to become a brother in small bits and pieces of it. And then when we go to the next part or the next stage, there is somewhat a focus on each stage that would be different. That would be different in different stages. And the next stage would be the novitiate. So after 1 year of postulancy, the foreman would apply or write a letter signifying that they want to become a brother. And then after that year, they would go to the novitiate in Lipa. And I said earlier, now the focus would be on spirituality. Brother Sockie, you want to add something?
Okay. So once you become a novice, you are officially a brother. You can use the name brother. You're given the title, and you can use the postnominals. Except that instead of just FSC, there's a small n to indicate that you're a novice. So for all intents and purposes, you're a brother. Except that you're not assigned to a school. You are assigned to your own school, which is the novitiate. In the novitiate, that is a school of spirituality, as Brother Irwin said. So it's basically a life of prayer, of study, and what else did we do as novices? We prayed and we studied. It's been
Yeah,
so long for
basically
me,
that's
but
it.
I don't know, Brother Irwin, you're worried. Yeah, we prayed and how many times did we pray? Oh my God.
4, 5
4 or
times a
5
day.
times a day.
Hmm.
Uh,
And then we just stay at the house, at the novitiate house. We are only
yeah.
allowed to go out one afternoon a month. In my
Yeah.
case, one afternoon a month.
To get your
So,
haircut, diba? To buy your toiletries. Yeah. Once a month. You're just there and no cell phones. No TV. No internet.
No TV.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Our source
You're
of
really just there.
news. Our source of news there is just the newspaper. So we have this great silence from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. And then when the ring bells at 9 a.m., unahan na kami dun sa newspaper to get to know the news outside the house.
Mabait pa sila. Ang ginagawa namin, you're not supposed to read the newspaper before 9 a.m., no? So it's in this room. It's like a library. If we also clean our own house, we don't have cleaners, so you're assigned a certain place. So if you're cleaning the library, you're excited to read the paper. So you kind of have the paper and you're like sweeping, watching for the director, then like turning the page na. Anong nangyayari? So, yeah, and then I remember the great silence. It was like from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., no? There was really no talking. And there was a bit of a change though. In my time, we had 2 years as novices. So the first year was really the strict one. Then the second year, it's a little bit less strict. We could go out a little bit more often. But the emphasis was still there. You really were there to pray, to get to be a very spiritual person as a novice. So, Brother Irwin, ano pa ba?
We also, on weekends, we usually have sports. That's where I got to be somewhat athletic. We cook on weekends, so because in the novitiate, it's not just Filipinos. There are other brothers from other countries. So every weekend, we were able to try dishes from different countries that our co-novices would cook. So it's also an exchange of culture inside the novitiate house.
So it sounds like there's a lot of changes, but also opportunities that are open in each stage. Would you say that you could pinpoint one particular stage as more difficult than the others?
I'll go ahead. What was very difficult for me was the postulancy. It was because I was kind of used to an unstructured life as a college student. Right? You eat when you want to eat. Basically, maybe one family meal together, but you eat when you want to eat. You don't have to wake up early. You can go wherever you want to go at any time, buy whatever you want to buy, anywhere, any place. But suddenly it changes when you're a postulant. You don't have money. You can't go out without permission. You can't watch TV when you want to watch TV. You wake up early. So it was a major change for me. And part of it also, you begin to live with other cultures too. So, and even having somebody in your own bedroom. I mean, sharing a bedroom. I grew up having my own room, but then suddenly I had to share a room. And he wasn't even Filipino. He was from Myanmar. So, there was a lot of changes and a lot of adjustments. So sa akin, that was challenging. I don't know with Brother Irwin how.
Somewhat similar, Brother Sockie. But since we were only 4 in my batch who entered the postulancy, we had our own rooms. So the challenge for me came in the novitiate. Although we have our own rooms in the novitiate, it's the differences in culture that was challenging for me in the novitiate because like for example, when we cook, there are different ways on how to cook a dish, but they would insist on their way and then sometimes you would insist on our way, and it's a matter of trying to understand each other and where they are coming from. So I think cultural differences was one of the big challenges for me in the novitiate.
Thank you so much for that.
Sorry.
Yes, would you like to add anything?
Meron akong co-novice, he's from Pakistan. I love their food. I love spicy food then. And then he loved Filipino food, so he loved puchero. So he was going to cook puchero. Pero nilagay niya saging was not saba. He put the real banana, latundan or whatever. So we were like trying to be polite to him. Wow, your puchero is really good, but maybe. So yeah, cultural differences is really it's so different to live with others from other cultures. So I'd say that's very challenging for me.
But there are also some bloopers due to cultural differences. I remember one time it's our adoration. So CD pa yon. So someone took a CD from the library. He thought na instrumental siya, na prayerful song. So while we are praying, naka-close eyes kami, tapos biglang tan 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 tan. Dancing Queen pala. So, kaming mga Pinoy, natatawa na kami, pero sila, prayerful pa din sila.
And it's so serious, diba? So, you're like not supposed to laugh. And, So, that's the novitiate.
Yeah.
It's like the PMA for all of us. We all go through it. You know who was before you. You know who's below you. You know your batchmate. So, you train to become a brother there. So, that's the novitiate.
Also, the novitiate is called in the Philippines the womb and the tomb of the brothers, because that's where we are born as brothers, and since the cemetery of the brothers is there also, so that is where we would be ending up in the future
as well.
So it's currently in Lipa. Yes, and outside the campus. And shall we move on to the next stage? So the next stage would be scholasticate, but over the years it kept on evolving. During my time, we had 2 years of scholasticate, and as I mentioned last time, the focus now here is to study. We need to study first theology and also education units, because brothers are first and foremost teachers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
Sorry, the scholasticate's easy kasi parang tapos ka na, it's like freedom. You're graduated from the novitiate, and the important thing is you take vows after the novitiate before you become a scholastic. So sa novice, di ba? Para kang NFSC. So maybe you'd be like a trainee in a company. But after that, maybe probationary ka na. Because we take vows, like promises, like poverty, chastity, obedience, so on and so forth. We take 5 vows. Initially, for 1 year. It's renewable every year. So parang pag scholastic ka na, you're probationary. Hindi ka na trainee. So you're a full-fledged brother. Every year, you renew that every year. So, yeah, but yeah. So if I had the 2-year scholastics, Brother Irwin had I had a 2-year novitiate. I had the 1-year scholastic. So si Brother Irwin had the 1-year novitiate. He had the 2-year scholastic. So they change up the program sometimes.
And part of the program for the scholasticate is to study not just our education units and theology units, but additional input from the novitiate with regards to the life of Saint Lasal and other saints, a history of the founder, and also during the scholasticate, that's our time to have our urban and rural exposure, wherein we would live with communities for quite some time. So in my case, I had my urban exposure sa Caloocan, and I lived with a house, tapos yung house nila is just barong-barong lang din siya, but it was a good experience living with them, cooking for them, namamalengke ako for them. It's just basically to get to know the life of the poor that we are to serve. And also in my rural exposure, we went to Giwan, Eastern Samar, a few months after the Typhoon Yolanda. So kita pa namin yung mga destruction nung Typhoon Yolanda in the area. Giwan is the island first hit by Yolanda. So
Yes.
that is where I had my rural exposure, and that was very reflective moment in my scholastic year because they had no power when we were there. Some barangays may wala pa ding power, and it's really to get to know and understand the plight of these people, and take those experiences with me as I journey on as a brother. So besides studying, there is also that kind of aspect in the scholastic aid.
So there are, based on what you've shared, po brothers, there's a lot of experiences and learning that comes with living your youth and living out the rest of your years as a brother. And I believe in regard to that, my friend here, DJ Miggy, has a follow-up question, or our next question rather.
All right, thank you, Cora. So earlier we were talking about the early stages onto becoming a brother, but this next question dives more into the latter part of a brother's life. So what happens when a brother reaches the retirement age, or the age where they settle down? And is there actually a specific age that is considered the retirement for the brothers, or is this more of their choice?
I'll answer, not because I'm nearing that stage. I still have a couple of years to go. But sometimes I'd like to retire. I think a brother has a choice. Like technically 60 to 65 in most of our schools, but a brother can go on as long as he can, actually. So we have, like, the brother I work with now is 78 and he's still the school president. So pwede naman mag-extend a little, but some brothers, like DLSU's own brother Ray is retired, right? So I think if you're relatively healthy and you retire from school, you can sort of choose to where you can live. So you can choose a community, and then you can sort of pick and choose what you want to do. You can sort of, some continue to teach like one subject in the graduate school. Some sort of become formal or informal counselors. Some brothers like volunteer to go to, in pre-pandemic, would go to like kinder and like just hug the kids, you know. So that's the option when you're sort of, it's called an active retirement. Your options open up. But when you start to get sick and really, really old, I don't know, Brother Irwin, it's your school.
Yes. Yes, where Brother Sockie is right now, we have the Residencia de Lasallian. That's intended to be somewhat retirement house. It's near the De La Salle Medical Health and Sciences Institute. So those brothers who are aged and are somewhat sick can be assigned there and can stay there, and so that their medical needs are being addressed.
So it's like a semi-hospital. There's a nurse's station. There's like a room with equipment, and it's right beside the hospital, really. So the doctors come over, but there are also brothers like me who live there. So to sort of keep the brothers company also. So we're like actively working, and there are really retired and old brothers here. So, but now it's pandemic, so we rarely see each other because I'm always out. I don't want to be the one to pass on anything. So yeah.
And from your question, I just like to share that it's nice to live with brothers from different age groups, because we are divided into age groups. One is a young brother, middle-aged brother, and the senior brothers. And I feel blessed having a community with all those three age groups, because we learn from each other. We learn from the wisdom of the old, and they also learn from us, especially during the first time with the pandemic. Brother Manny with us is already 77, and then he asked us to teach him how to use Zoom, how to do online classes, and it's a nice experience to learn from each other.
All right, so it's really great to see that sense of choice that the brothers get with their responsibility as they go on through their duties and responsibilities as Lasallian brothers. And speaking of, duties and the paths you all take, I think the next question is sort of similar, but dives out of that life. So, Cora, would you like to ask this next question?
Yes, of course. So our listeners would like to know, Brother Irwin and Brother Saki, what path would you have chosen had you not become a Lasallian brother?
Masaya.
Alam ko kayo, Brother Irwin.
Alam ni Brother
We've been
Sockie.
together for like 2 years. So, sige mo na ka.
Well, I graduated Bachelor of Science in Medical Radiation Technology sa Lasallian Health and Sciences Institute. And after graduation, I entered the brothers right away. So, but initially I wanted to become a doctor and pursue medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not able to. I met the brothers by third year college, so that got me interested. So maybe if I pushed through, I could have been a medical doctor right now. But besides it, in my years, as a brother, I became interested in other hobbies. So maybe those, I would ask myself, if I had not become a brother, maybe I would be a radio DJ, a vlogger.
Wow.
You should see his TikTok. He has TikTok.
Oh, he has TikTok.
Yes.
We'll look for it, brother. We'll look for it right after this. How
Hindi
about you, Brother Saki?
Sorry. Yung
Ano yun,
DJ mo, Irwin, yung crush mo, yung pinapag-greet mo, yung sina-shout out every Wednesday.
Kasi this pandemic, I came across a radio show, and then I listened to it every morning. That's where I got interested, and then I do their spiels, and then every Wednesday I would tweet them to greet me. So they would greet me naman, tapos minsan dito sa office mag-isa akong nagdi-DJ. Okay, time check, it's 2:34 in the afternoon. This next song is so sabi ko, kung di ako naging brother, baka pwede ako mag-DJ. Or baka pwede naman simultaneous.
Why not? I don't see why not. Pag simultaneous.
How about you, bro?
I'm a very introverted person. I knew that since a very young age, and I was also very much into books. I love books. I took refuge in the library. So until now, as a brother, I pay special attention to the library. I make friends with the librarians and make sure we have good libraries in our school. So if I were not a brother, I would be a librarian. I swear, it's my dream job. Nobody's going to disturb you. You have all the books in the world to read. It's so nice and quiet. So yeah, so if you see my office, it's full of books. If you see my room, so parang it kind of like Brother Irwin, it kind of melds into the job I have to do. And the job I'm doing is a very public job. It requires you to be available to a lot of people. So I get tired. And at the end of the day, I go back to my books. So and that energizes me. So I'd be a librarian in some nice library with a nice set of books.
Thanks so much for sharing, brothers. And it seems that we have two opposites here. We have the very extroverted brother DJ, and we also have the very quiet, collected, and would like a peaceful environment, for the library. So thank you so much for sharing that, brothers. Miggy?
All right, so we'll be proceeding to the next question. And although we're really diving greatly into the lives of the Lasallian brothers, we know for a fact that not a lot of people are able to enter this life, this vocation. But they may be curious, so how can someone actively participate in the Lasallian mission? Most especially the youth. Like, they may not be brothers, but of course, they would want to do something to participate in the Lasallian mission. So what can someone do?
I think the very first, it's two things. It's number one, to be involved in a lot of prayer. So try to see where that prayer and spirituality comes into your life. If that means joining a prayer group that you're comfortable with, or you're more traditional, going to daily mass, or even just stopping by the chapel and praying. So that's one aspect. Another aspect maybe is to find time to help the less fortunate. So you go to outreach, you go to these fund drives. So it's helping the poor and having a prayerful life. That I think already is participating in the Lasallian mission. Brother Erwin?
To add to that, maybe first, more than finding your passion, it's finding your purpose. I have read somewhere that your passion would serve you, but your purpose would serve others. So whatever the talents and gifts you are given, you use that not just to feed your passion, but also to feed your purpose. And young ones nowadays are very talented with all these creativity and gifts. And once they put them into good use, not just to, of course, they want to feel good about themselves, about their talents and skills, but also further to that, we hope that it also helps the one who needs it the most. It also inspires other people, and that could be giving you a sense of purpose.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so finding your purpose, finding your passion, finding your spirituality. Thank you so much, Brother Irwin and Brother Saki. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this episode. But if you want to hear more from our De La Salle brothers, you can check out their social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, which is De La Salle Brothers of the Philippines.
You can also check them out on their Instagram and Twitter, which is at DLS Brothers PH. And for those of you who wish to discern more with the brothers, you can also reach out with your questions through their email, which is vocations@delasalle.ph.
And of course, if you want to keep following with What's Up Bro, you can check us out on Facebook, Spotify, and Twitter, which is at Green Giant FM.
We also have our Instagram, which is greengiant.fm, and our YouTube, which is bit.ly/ggfm-YT. And just like that, that was the 4th episode of the What's Up Bro podcast. For our fellow brothers here today, do you have any last words for our listeners?
Maybe if ever you can, please do get vaccinated. We need protection from the COVID-19 since it's we have surge again this past few days, and also continue to pray and discover more about your life so that you find your meaning and purpose.
For me, it's get boosted, like Brother Erwin. And if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. If that small little seed, an inkling of wanting to become a brother is there, you want to find out more, you're curious, ask. You don't lose anything by asking.
Thank you so much, brothers. So once again, we were joined here today by Brothers Irwin and Brother Saki. And once again, my name is DJ Cora.
And I'm DJ Miggy.
Thank you so much for listening, and catch us again on our next episode. Bye!
Yeah.